You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
There was an idea. The idea was to bring together a group of remarkable people, see if they could become something more.
I have an army. We have a Hulk.
This is the Marvel Tribe, brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Marvel Tribe. We are a Marvel podcast brought to you by Walt's Apartment Podcast and the DisInsider.com. We have our fantastic group of Marvel nerds here to talk about episode 1 of Secret Invasion. We've got Lou Knight, Lewis, and our very own Blerd Hulk. And I am Sam. One team, one love. It's the Marvel Tribe.
Marvel Tribe. We are here. Oh my God, it feels like it's been forever. It's like we're on summer vacation now we're back in school.
I missed you guys.
Absolutely freaking Louie.
But it's about time we have some new content to talk about.
Absolutely. Like this is how excited we were. We normally try to do our best to kind of hold off for the show, and so as soon as we saw each other's faces, we started started kind of telling. I told Lou my kind of theories, and he was kind of filling in some holes, and we were just kind of, and we're going down rabbit holes. And so I know, Sam, we should save that for the air and stuff. And she jumps in, she comes in later. It's like, hey, what are you guys doing?
I did scold them a little bit. I was like, shouldn't we save this for the podcast? But we always do that. We get ahead of ourselves, but we always still deliver it when it comes time. So how do we want to do this episode? Do we want to take it from the beginning?
I think we should start it off by scoring it. This episode so far.
Oh yeah, we can rank this out. So I'll go first. I'll tell you straight up. I think this is a solid 8 for me. Just because I have some interesting. I think there are some interesting developments that they're walking down. So I want to see those kind of further develop, and I think they're on the right track to do that. So it's an 8 for me. I liked it.
I am going to actually go a little bit lower than David, and I'm going to say a 6. Because R.I.P. Maria.
Maria Hill.
Yes. For those of you who are listening that don't know, I was a big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, which Maria was a big part of. So the ending of the episode broke my heart. Do we think she's actually dead? I think she's dead.
I think she's dead.
Okay, thanks for clarifying my broken heart. But also, I didn't have a lot of big theories. Like David, I know you mentioned some. I didn't have a lot of those going into this, so I am a little bit lower. I'm a little bit lower in the rating scale because I didn't develop as many fan theories this episode. What about you, Lewis?
No, This is going to be a plot twist right here. I'm going to the highest one in the room. I am giving it an 8.5. I love the darkness, the secrecy of it. Now, if I'm basing off episodes, it's number 2. And like my title name is, I think Moon Knight has the best first opening show or episode of all of the Disney Plus series. But this one is a close second. But I am a tad bit nervous. They gave us not a lot in this episode, but enough to dive in. So hopefully we get past episode 3.
So I want to comment on the darkness. That is something that I do really love about it. It kind of gave me, I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but as soon as the credits started, the opening credits, the title credits, gave me Captain America Civil War vibes. That kind of depth.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
But the opening credits for me, I was like, okay, way to go, Marvel. You're not going to give us a 10-minute credit crawl at the end. You're going to give us a 10-minute crawl in the beginning so we can't complain about it. I was sitting there, I was like, all right, when are we getting started?
Yeah, no, they were really long, but I loved the intensity of them.
Yeah. That greenness, man, it really set the vibe.
So, and they used AI for that and stuff as well.
A heavy portion of it, and it was so obvious.
I think it was done on purpose because they, again, AI is replacing humans, and
Skrulls are replacing
it
humans.
It fits within the thing. I know there's some people who were pissed off about it, and they thought it had something to do with the writer's strike, and they weren't ready with the no. I think this was done purposely. I think it was just to show, like, hey, there's a something human like, but it's not quite human that did something. And so I think they purposely did that for the opening credits and for that, with all that green and everything else that they did.
I entirely agree. So I heard people complaining about it too. And so I'm
gonna take something back real quick, Sam. I'm sorry. I'm gonna undo my RIP Maria. I don't think she's actually dead. Because remember, we thought Nick Fury was dead. He was actually murdered, and they had a funeral and everything and stuff for him. But it just helped him go deeper undercover because there's something bigger amiss. Why wouldn't that happen? I mean, she is a well-trained Nick Fury agent. You think an agent is going to get caught and shot like that in the middle of the square? And I don't think she's she's not dead. I don't think she's dead.
And you know what I had a thought about? When she was in the train tunnels with Gaia, what's her name?
Yep, Gaia.
Gaia. When she's in the train tunnels with Gaia, she was way too easily unhanded, like with that gun. Like, that is not Maria Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she did that intentionally.
No, I think she's dead. And the reason I say that is because two things. One, the end credits said with special guests, and they I forget her real name, but they said with special guests. I think she's dead. But also, two, in the teaser trailer, Nick Fury says this is personal. And I think that is going to be the motive to really send him going. Because, I mean, we've seen the lineup for the films. There's not a whole lot more breathing room. And notice at the Maria Hill, where does she pop up? I mean, Secret Wars maybe, but I feel like, I mean, we'll see, but I'm leaning towards more that she's dead, and okay. I'm also leaning towards that Ross was a Skrull all along,
like all along, and her name is Colby Smulders, by the way.
Colby Smulders, all along.
Like the entire Ross was never human.
Like he was never human.
So,
that is.
But imagine.
Let me challenge that.
Real quick though, before you do, imagine how what of a spinal shake that would be if you found out he was always a Skrull and everything he was involved in.
I wouldn't be able to trust anything in the MCU ever.
No,
there would be no integrity.
Let me just challenge that real quick with this one little thing. Okay, Black Panther, he gets shot in the spine. He's laid before Wakanda technology in front of Shuri to be repaired. Shuri would absolutely have discovered that his physiology and everything else is Skrull. The blood, all that stuff is Skrull.
Plus, when a Skrull is injured, it is very hard for the Skrull to
maintain their shape and everything else and stuff. And so Shuri would have found out immediately during that repair. So I believe he's been a Skrull for several of the movies, but not the whole time. It had been post the first Black Panther. After Shuri saved his life and did that. So
I mean, that makes sense, but that also seems like a little piece that Marvel would overlook and make it and say it would. But I would agree with that it's post. But something tells me that him and Maria Hill's character are their storyline is coming to an end, and so it would be interesting to find out that he was always a Skrull. But going back to the original question, is I think Maria Hill is Done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think she is too, which breaks my heart. But
the way she died is what troubles me the most and stuff. Like if it feels like grand battle and she got bested by she got shot by
Nick Fury,
being Nick Fury, and
in a way, it's a Coulson death. He died to kind of get that fire going. She died to get Nick Fury going again.
David, remember that theory that you were talking about?
Okay. Yes. So I most of you guys don't know. I play with robots. So I'm on the AI bandwagon and stuff like that. But I use it as an assistant. It helps me out at work, and I've been a beta tester for a number of years and stuff with this. And I actually had it do a task for me. I wanted it to review all of the Marvel properties up until the current, in front of Secret Invasions, and I wanted to come up with some harebrained theories that is probably hasn't been mentioned and stuff before, and it found one. Excuse me. Ooh, excuse me. Oh wow. All right, you can't see me, so that's gonna hurt, but that was a hiccup. It was a hiccup. The theory it found it properly named is called the female Avenger. So what the female Avenger theory is that's woven, it's kind of a plot device that's woven throughout the cinematic universe here, is that there's always a woman figure that, meets its demise in distress or something that triggers the male counterpart to go above and beyond its own self, like dig deep and pull it out. And it gave a great examples. I mean, it talked about Black Widow's death and Hawkeye, his transition and stuff to be more than that rage that sent him out there and stuff. It talked about Cap and Agent Carter, and it was kind of going down the list and kind of weaving these things all the way down to to Nick Fury and Maria Hill. Like now he's gonna kind of dig deep. It's that fourth quarter. I need to find that fuel, and her death is that fuel and stuff. And we see it for good and bad sides. So in Shang-Chi, both the dad, the daughter, and the son was affected by the mother's death, and they were all pulled out in different ways. The father, obviously, for evil reasons and everything else, to kind of that pursuit to bring her back to life, and he didn't care about. He went back to his old ways and was even more vicious and everything else. The son, honoring his mom. The daughter wanted to, she was kind of stuck between the two worlds and stuff. So the female Avenger trope, it was. It's that piece that really, Loki and Thor lost, Frigga, their mom and stuff. Thor spiraled. Loki became more villainous. It was like you let the handcuffs off of Loki. It was almost like she had him in this toddler, lower strength and stuff. Like, Loki, you can't be too bad. And then it's like, screw it, chains off. And they didn't really care about Odin. It was really about Frigga and stuff. So,
and right now we're seeing that with Talos.
Yes.
And Soren.
Yep.
And now Nick Fury has Maria Hill, who is gone.
Yeah. So this
is where it became personal for him. There were some. So when we saw the I guess conversion chamber, I'm going to call it, for the Skrulls in the Russian camp who were taking over human identities.
Oh, when they were doing the mind, taking their minds and everything.
So I'm going to pronounce this name wrong but Pagan, Pagan, I think is his name, is actually the first one in the comic books to basically work for Gravik, because he imitates Elektra in the Secret Invasion storyline.
It's his right-hand man.
I thought it was interesting that we got to see his conversion specifically, because we got to see him go from here he is as a Skrull to now here's your identity. And they literally like delivered it to him in front of us. So that was a very cool like comic book connection that I thought they gave us.
Oh, absolutely. And we saw that device being used in Captain Marvel on Miss Marvel herself. I'm sorry, Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers, when they're trying to extract from her the Kree's, their source of power or whatever and stuff. And she was getting those flashbacks. It triggered her own flashbacks because the Kree mind wiped her and stuff like that. So it's a very powerful technology and tool and everything that's being used, that it could actually not only do you shapeshift into the human being, but now you can take all their memories and everything else and stuff. And that was kind of that overarching kind of thing about Nick Fury in Captain Marvel, about like how he eats his toast a certain way. And
so it's like, you've got those three questions to figure it out. Now the questions don't matter because they are literally stealing your memories.
Correct. Which, oh man, I'll share your theory at the end. I already shared it with with Lewis. So, but it was part of the whole, and we'll talk about this at the end. Who else do we think in the Marvel Universe is a Skrull? May not be in this episode 1, but just throughout, because I know there's going to be some big reveals that certain people were Skrulls, and so, all right, anyway, let's get back to the show.
So I guess we could talk about the overall mission of what the Skrulls are trying to do. So the Skrulls are basically trying to take over Earth as their new home, with their passcode being home in our new skin. So obviously they want to walk around as Skrulls, which means that they don't want to be infiltrators. They want it to be somewhere where they can walk around freely. They want complete takeover. They don't just want, to shapeshift and be part of the human experience. They want to take over the human experience and create Earth as their own home.
Correct. They want new Skrulls to be the entire planet,
which is an interesting point of view.
Because in those Skrulls, they're not allowed to be in their original forms. They are shapeshifted.
And not only that, you read my mind on that one. They're not allowed to walk around their own skin, but also too, they're not allowed to leave there unless they are a soldier. If Correct. You're trying to infiltrate and so that, you're going to let whoever and whatever do what they need to do possible to get the one over on somebody. So if you're not a soldier, you have to stay here. But if you're a soldier, you can come and go as you please. You get a little bit more extra skills. You get involved a little bit more. Like there just seems to be a contradiction there. That we want to take this over, but you can't leave this camp.
Correct. So new Skrulls, because the people there's people who are in Skrull shape, and when Gia said to Beto when she was bringing them into Gia's bringing them into the camp, you can be yourself here, and so they were showing when they were walking through, they were showing people like kids and everyone being their Skrulls, but then she was talking about there's also perks of being soldiers. Part of that is they can shapeshift anytime they want. Because Skrulls don't typically want to shapeshift. They want to be themselves. And so you saw that. You saw the kids playing as themselves.
That's why they want home in their own skin.
Correct. And so the ones who were still in human form, those were kind of the soldiers for the cause and stuff. And it's also why we saw Beto not, in his regular skin. He wanted to be a soldier, which he ended up becoming a soldier and stuff for the cause and stuff. So, but yeah, there's that kind of dynamic. Like, hey, if you're here, it's kind of similar to Magneto and his world, where I'm gonna butcher it. Laveritra, the island, where the mutants were safe and they can just be mutants. They don't have to hide their powers it was just a safe space. That's what they're creating with new Skrulls and stuff.
That's the
unless
premise.
You're a soldier.
That's the premise.
That's the premise. Yeah.
However, so do we think that Gia, whatever we're calling her, I can't remember her name, that she is it Gia?
Gia.
Talos's daughter. Is she
evil?
Do you well, I mean, we got to see multiple sides of her we got to see how manipulative she is in this episode. But I also saw the way she was paying attention to the shadows lurking and the way that she was kind of looking away from the mind control devices. Do we think that there is a redemption arc for her? Because let's just go over like, so Maria Hill follows her down into the train area, and she gets away from Maria. There's a little bit of a tiff. She gets away from Maria, which I was like, Maria's a much better fighter than that. So that's bullshit because they did Maria dirty right then and there, regardless of the end of the episode.
Constantly, yes.
And then so then Talos is like, where is he? And then Maria says and she went that way. So he goes and follows and realizes it's his daughter. And he's telling her, you're working for your mom's killer. And she kind of is just like, blah, 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 whatever. Like, is like, she doesn't know her mom's dead. This is the first she's hearing of it. And then later meets her dad and is like, we're going to mark the bags, or I'm going to mark the bags for you. You're going to know with infrared which bags are the bombs that are being planted. Totally lied to him, totally set him up. And made it so that like everybody there was this, these 3 massive explosions at Unity Day of all things. But so do we think there's a redemption story there for her? Because I feel like there is.
No.
I don't think there's gonna be a redemption story. I think she is for the cause, and then she's gonna realize that whoever's for the cause is really one-sided, and she turns on them. I don't really think there's going to be a redemption story. I think it's going to be more of almost like in I'm blanking it right now. Is it Hawkeye? The mask, the young lady, the mask, and oh my gosh, I'm blanking her name right now. She was part of, is it The Hand?
Oh, yeah. Echo.
Yeah.
Like that, where
Echo, yeah.
Where she's not, it's never really redemption. It's never all in. It's just kind of this weird slippery slope where she believes in the cause through everything, but I don't think there's ever redemption. I think she just gets played on the other side and tries to take lead of the other side.
So I agree. Okay. So I think she was in that caught between two worlds. I think now, and even though I think it's going to be revealed to us more, it's going to be more solidified. But I think now she is full on evil because, and here's my why, because it's all speculation at this point. When Dad told Talos told her about Mom, I think that cemented the fact that this new generation is very distrusting of the previous generation and setting up her father, because here's the thing, Gravik was there in the square, so he knew that plan was unfolding. The only way he knew that plan, like, I'm marking these bags and we're gonna flush out Nick Fury and Talos and everyone else, is if Gia told him. And here's why. So this is a part, I didn't share this theory, but I think I really, really do believe that Gravik is Nick Fury's son, like straight up.
His son.
And there's a piece, the son, and I think there's a piece with Gravik's mom and Gia's mom, and about the two dads who are kind of. I think this is what kind of brought her into the fold more of being a part of this rebel. Of like, the parents didn't do this. They didn't give us the new home. They failed. It's up to us. And we're going to do this for our people. I think it reinforced her more into Gravik's fold than it did the opposite way of like, oh, Mom's dead. Come back home to Papa Talos and everything. No, she's now full villain is what I'm thinking. So
I really like the theory of him being Nick Fury's son. But I worry about that theory because I feel like we are going to get kind of, we're talking about the Hulk prior to going recording, is it's going to be a rushed, broken story that it's almost like Go Guardians Holiday Special, where we found out Mantis and Star-Lord are siblings.
So weird.
Yeah, it's weird, and there was really no setup for it. And then that plays a key part in Guardians 3, where it worked a little bit better because you had more time to really let it unfold. But given that this is only a 6-episode series, I hope in this show in 2 days we get to hear and start seeing this unfold. Because if they don't show it by episode 2, either a cliffhanger or by 3, they're gonna have to rush that because we still have to figure out where the fuck has Nick Fury been? What is was it Starcade or Stargate? Like
Saber.
Saber.
Yeah, he was up on Saber. This is the name of the base that's above Earth.
Yeah, which right, I mean, there's a lot to unfold there. I mean, so yeah. I like the theory. I mean, we went into it a lot on our messenger, but I think that theory can work out wonderful and really bring, again, like we've talked about before, in the new characters, a new Nick Fury. We're starting to see like the kids of all these Avengers start playing out to give us those people. I think there's not going to be enough time.
Yep. So I know 6 episodes is short, but here's what I'm thinking. They're laying the groundwork for, because one, they're showing this kind of espionage piece with Gravik. They do these weird kind of shot for shot pieces, and it also shows that Gravik is spying directly on Nick Fury, because everyone he was like interacting with and stuff, Gravik was reproducing those people like, hey dad, I'm saying in my head like, hey dad, I'm just as good of a spy as you.
He was intentional.
It was very intentional, from the little girl to the guy in the bar that was saying something to him, to the girl on the bench that was watching Nick throughout the day. Gravik was showing them like, I can play this spy game just as well as you, Dad. So,
and that's what lured him closer to the explosions.
Yep.
He basically was able to get Nick Fury off of the task at hand and lure him closer to center stage of the explosions, which then allowed him to get Maria Hill alone.
And that's what I mean by the whole playing. Okay, so this is my expanded theory on Maria Hill probably not being dead, because her and Nick Fury was in the bar playing chess, right? This is what they do. They meet up, they play chess. It's that skills game that spies kind of do. It kind of helps exercise their brain. The son, or Gravik, okay, we don't know it's his son, but Gravik was playing chess with Nick. Like, hey, I was one step with you the whole entire time throughout that whole day. He's showing his hand. And then he turned into Nick and he shot Maria Hill. Well, what would be the ultimate dupe in chess is like, you think you got me, checkmate, right? Boom, Maria Hill's not dead. Nick's been playing chess several steps ahead this whole time. Like, it's a part of some but it's a part of some plan that Maria can infiltrate now. Everyone thinks she's dead. She has free range to be a ghost, and that can be beneficial to Nick Fury, who's not above faking his death to get underneath things and stuff. So
because nobody's gonna Skrull her anymore, nobody's gonna shapeshift as Maria Hill because they think
the best
she's
way
dead.
to control the skull. Yep, if she's dead.
And yep. And you know what the thing is? They keep presenting to us like, Nick Fury, you should be out of the game. Like they did it so many times in this episode. Like, you're washed out. You should be out of this game. Like the MI6 lady was like, you should be done. Like you don't even have a foot in this race anymore. But what if this was a way for Nick Fury to be like, who still has game? Who still has game? Nick Fury.
I'm the chess master. I'm moving all the pieces still.
But that is like the best way for him to know the only person he can trust is Maria, because nobody's going to shapeshift as Maria because they think she's dead. That would be a stupid move on their part.
But what weight is at this point? What weight is Nick Fury carrying now? I mean, within the MCU, what weight is Nick Fury carrying? I mean, Shield has collapsed. He's on Saber. I mean, at this point, I mean, Nick Fury and Maria Hill are kind of, what threat are they? I mean, if taking over Earth is the goal, wouldn't there be bigger people to be going up against to take over the world? I mean, Nick Fury is what is the threat Nick Fury has on the planet right now?
Nick Fury is the one who established the relationship with the Skrulls to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. So Nick Fury has the new technology, the Skrulls, a hand in establishing sword, which is Saber is a sword base and stuff, which is their job is to interplanetary protect Earth. So it makes sense that the commander himself comes down to come clean shit up and stuff. So to prove that he's still a viable character in this whole world. Is that what you're trying to say? Like what's
because like right now, I mean, with the way the MCU is going, I mean, I feel like if that's the case, then this is almost like antique material. I mean, we're now time jumping. We're now dealing with a lot of bigger entities that are fighting for Earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, this fight between Nick Fury and the Skrulls, really, I mean, if you're going up against the biggest guy on the playground, I don't see Nick Fury being that guy for the Skrulls, considering if you've watched everything that's happened to Earth in the last years they've set up in the MCU, Nick Fury is no longer the threat if you're trying to take over Earth.
But Nick Fury has information on S.H.I.E.L.D. as far as and Maria Hill does as well. And we are about to enter the mutant age. Mm-hmm. Or as in S.H.I.E.L.D., if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I know is not canon, but like in Humans, they are basically the go-tos at this point because Coulson's gone. They are the people who would be your like track stars for mutants. It's like, so anybody who is going to come in and try and infiltrate that has supernatural abilities that are other than technological. So like think you're Tony Stark or Pym. You're going to need the expertise and knowledge of Fury. He's
almost like he's a keeper of secrets. He's like the Men in Black. They're the go through me kind of people. Yes, we have Avengers, but Nick is right. He's the one who's the reason. He's responsible for building out the Avengers and pointing them, aiming that weapon in the right directions and stuff. His skill set is that very act itself. He is a master technician when it comes to building teams, pointing weapons in the right place, dealing with threats, universal threats and stuff, which we're going to see in, Kang's Secret Wars and everything else. How, I believe how important having master strategists is and stuff. I wouldn't count out him just because he's a human. Count him out because we have way more amazing. We're cosmic and we're multiversal and stuff. He still has a role, and I think there's going to be a few humans like Captain America and Nick Fury that are going to kind of prove that you can't count us human beings out. It's not just a full-on mutants and other world beings and stuff that are going to be the protectors of Earth and the keepers of of everything and the strategists and stuff. So
he has a very defined skill set that nobody teaches.
Correct.
Because it's such a unique experience that he literally crafted the entire practice of protecting the human race from threats. Like that is Nick Fury.
Think about this. Yep. Yeah, we'll give you a case. I'll give you a case in point. So you remember in the Iron Man 1, the first Iron Man, the government was jumping at the bit to get Iron Man. Get his tech or to get Iron Man to be a part of his, the government's team and to do all this. I mean, and Iron Man was pushing back like, no, you ain't getting shit from me. Like, Gary Shanley, who played the senator, who called the meeting, the hearing, and everything else. Nick Fury did it smoothly. He got him to help him build the Avengers and stuff. That wasn't an Iron Man thing. He sold the guy who said, I will never come work for the government and stuff. And there comes Nick Fury in the bar. They don't even show us his skills. Come into the bar at the end and talk to Tony Stark, and then boom. Next thing you know, Tony Stark is a mouthpiece for Nick Fury in building out the Avengers and stuff like that. That shows how slick Nick Fury actually is. He has more skill set that our government can never ever possess and stuff to convince people to do things and to push people in the right. So I think there's a tremendous value to have a Nick Fury going forward and for within this new phase of Marvel and stuff. So I'll make the argument for that. So
no, and I hear what you're saying. For me, I think the theory of that and I forget the character's name, Nick Fury's son, makes sense. I think that whole father proving my dad wrong that I can do this makes sense. But at the same time, using that dilemma to try to take over Earth and having Nick Fury be the chess piece that stops it all, I feel like that you're really stretching that theory, considering the fact that, I mean, Nick Fury, the last time we saw him trying to help Earth, he was using like an antique pager to page for Captain Marvel. I mean, so for me, and I'm talking about like the whole idea of Skrulls, Nick Fury's the wall you have to go through to take over Earth. That just seems a little far-fetched.
We saw him calling for Monica.
Well, what was his biggest failure? His biggest failed mission was finding the Skrull a new home. It's been 30 years since Captain America, the movie that took place, right? Him and Carol Danvers were supposed to find the Skrulls a new home. And meanwhile, he's chilling on Saber. He failed. They didn't. 30 years go by. We had the blip. We had Thanos. Skrulls are no closer to finding a new home. Huge failure. That's going to piss off a bunch of the newer generation of Skrulls and stuff that's coming out. Like, what the hell? And this whole trust me, why he's on vacation up on Saber and Sword Base and all that other stuff. And so there's motivation for them to just say, screw it. Earth is about to be our new home. This is New Skrullos, and we're going to expand this throughout this world. And they want to do it under Nick. They have to go through Nick Fury because he's the one. Him and Talos both were the ones who promised to take these refugees and to find a new home with Captain Marvel, and it didn't happen. Three decades.
As MCU viewers, we always view Nick Fury as the protagonist, but in their story, he's the antagonist.
He's the villain. Yeah.
He's the villain. He's the bad guy. So he has to come down and they're going to target him. And they want him to see what they're doing. That's why they make it a point of saying Fury's here. Because they want him to see that they're about to F shit up. Because he didn't keep his promise.
Yep.
I like that theory. I like it.
Tired of waiting. They're going to take matters in their own hands. That's why they've been doing this covert operation stuff, for forever and stuff. I think we're going to start seeing more and more episodes, other Skrulls, and we're going to have to theorize who's really a Skrull. Was it a part of this whole secret invasion? All of this stuff, because they're tired of waiting, which the best thing to do is like, you know what? I would do it too. I'm all right, then we can't have your home. You're not finding me a home. I'm taking the home, and it's going to be your home. So, but, we normally would do episode, scene by scene, but I don't know. This is the first episode now. Excited, and we get to have different opinions and stuff, which is what I love.
And there weren't too many Easter eggs, so going scene by scene, like we're just having great dialogue.
Absolutely. So Lou, you can't go nowhere. You need to be on these episodes forever. But the three of us, we actually do make great, because we kind of will say one thing, and in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it that way and stuff, and just kind of go back and forth, which makes for a great podcast. If you haven't noticed, you should definitely always check out the Marvel Tribe under the Walt's Apartment banner. We're streaming on any podcast service that, platform that you like. I think that's right? They can find us anywhere.
They can find us everywhere.
Old episodes. Yeah, check out our Patreon. You want to talk about our Patreon, Sam?
I'll talk about our Patreon. So we have quite a few different tiers. If you join us on Patreon, we actually do Marvel watch parties. We're trying to do one Marvel watch party a month. Lou and I just did an Incredible Hulk one. We chat throughout it. We mention some Easter eggs while we're watching it. So it kind of gets you that insider perspective, and you get to hang out with the tribe. We're trying to do the same thing if you're a Star Wars fan with Star Wars movies or Pixar. So we've got a wide umbrella underneath our Walt's Apartment podcast banner. You also get some cool merch from this guy up here. If you are, and to mention,
Sunken City.
From Sunken City Designs, but that's Lewis over here. If you are on Patreon and you subscribe to us, you actually get the video footage from our recordings and not just the audio. So this video, after we're done here, you're hearing the audio if you're listening to us on a podcast platform. But if you're one of our Patreons, you get to watch the video of our recording. How cool is that? Hi Patreons. So we have quite a few tiers. You can head on over to Patreon and look for Walt's Apartment, a Disney podcast, or check out our Instagram bio, Walt's Apartment Podcast on Instagram, and click our link tree, and that will take you to our Patreon. You get access to our Discord where we chat all day long. So come hang out with us on Patreon. Any other theories you guys had about this episode, though, or about the series going forward?
Yep. So, yes and no. So I'm just going to say it. Okay. So I shared with Lewis earlier one of my theories, because this episode is really supposed to trigger you into start thinking about the MCU in a different way. About, is there possible other characters within the MCU that are Skrulls and stuff? And I already have, I have my bet on in the episode as the president. I think the president's a Skrull. Because we're obviously going to get Thunderbolt Ross, who's now being played by Harrison Ford in the future, who's going to be the president.
Which is so cool to me.
It kind of is kind of Air Force One kind of vibes and stuff.
I love that movie.
Obviously, he can't be the president if there's a current president now. So something happens. So I think he's a Skrull. I'm just going to say that and stuff. But my big far out there rabbit hole theory that this episode's kind of getting me kind of going, and I started thinking about when Lewis was talking about Agent Ross and everything else. What if the Incredible Hulk is a Skrull? And hear me out. I'm going back to I know.
You guys can see Sam's face right now.
Hear me out. Okay. So at the end of Age of Ultron, they send Hulk packing off on the ship and stuff. Skrulls are aliens, so they could easily have intercepted that ship. Their technology could absolutely, detain a defeated Hulk, because the Hulk got, his friends ditched him. So Hulk's not really in a angry mood; he's in a sad mood. Makes it right for the Skrulls to kind of come in and do whatever they set that up as.
Poor baby.
We don't see Hulk land on Sakaar at all. We don't see Hulk until Thor Ragnarok, where he's this grand champion. All of a sudden, he's this Hulk that's talking more. He's acting like a toddler. We see a kind of a different personality Hulk. And what do you get when you get a Skrull trying to imitate someone who doesn't have their memories? They act a little different, to the point where you're like, I don't really think that's you. So we get that Hulk. Teams up, with Thor. Hulk. This is the Hulk that gets his ass beat. He goes on a losing streak and stuff. He gets beat by Thor. He gets beat by Hela's Hellhound. He gets beat by Thanos. Thanos properly whips his ass and stuff, because he is not the original Hulk. We know that even though you can manifest, a shapeshift into someone, doesn't mean you get all of the powers that person has. And when Heimdall sent Hulk to Earth versus saving Thor, which was also another thing and stuff. What was the one thing? Here's where it kind of fits. Where he says Thanos is coming and Tony Stark and everything else, and then the children of Thanos comes down and Stark says, "Hey, okay, time for you to kind of Hulk out, do your thing." What is he trying to do? He's trying to get mad, right? When has Bruce Banner never been mad before? In fact, he said it best in Avengers. I'm always angry. The trick about me, he knows the level of control he has over Hulk. He's the one who's controlling the change and stuff. He's always angry. It's the easiest thing in the world for him because he always lived in that. Here you see him like doing this fake theatrics show for everyone else, trying to be mad. We also see the fact that Bruce Banner character is this new slapstick kind of comedy, kind of jokester kind of guy, which is also not what the old Bruce Banner was as well. If you look at the old stuff, he was kind of a more serious kind of nerdy scientist who was scared of himself and scared of what he can do to the world and stuff.
He just wanted it to be over with.
Yeah, here he's broing out. He's trying to be cool. He's trying to tell jokes and do stupid shit. This is a whole different Hulk and a whole different Banner and stuff.
So, are we talking like She-Hulk? Like,
we're
do you
talking.
Do you think he's a Skrull?
Hulk, yes, I think yes. That whole
She-Hulk?
Because the other pieces too, they don't really explain the meshing of the two. He just. It was a brief explanation about how, I was just kind of,
Well, no, it has to be Gamma. It has to be the real Hulk because there's Gamma transfer. There's blood transfer.
Skrulls can, there's blood transfer, but you can explain that and stuff.
Oh, I
don't know about that, David.
That might be the piece right there because his blood transfers to his cousin, which gives her the Hulk abilities.
The DNA sequences, the fact that they're blood related and stuff, and the fact that every person who took Hulk's blood, everyone died. You don't think there could be some kind of Skrull piece of adapting? Look at the episode 1 right now,
dang.
right? The biology of those plants. The biology is adapting to Earth and stuff, and starting to mesh with the environment and stuff. Same with a Skrull.
I don't know if it's the same thing with Gamma DNA, though.
And then my question is, so what does that do for She-Hulk? Does that change her whole background story of, is she not Hulk then? Is she She-Skrull?
She is. She's probably Skrull. I mean,
and then another
part Skrull or whatever.
Another thing on She-Hulk, and I totally forgot about She-Hulk. That was my least favorite series. The Hulk's son.
Yep.
So is he not his son? Is he like a baby?
Skrulls can have kids. All right. And why did his son just come out as the Green Monster? Bruce Banner in his original form is a human and stuff. Why wouldn't it be like it's just Hulk's DNA? Is that? Ooh. I mean, a Skrull would be green no matter what form it would be and stuff. So
I'm on that theory on everything outside She-Hulk. I think because we talked about this beforehand. Age of Ultron, dude, he's getting hammered by the Hulkbuster, loses tooth and loses his shit. Like that for me, Age of Ultron is where traditional Hulk ended, and we got whatever the hell we got now. We got, like you said, all the Hulk, the same bro, this and that, wearing hula shirts and this and that.
I like him.
But that's not the Hulk. I mean, let's be honest. Like that was never the Hulk in almost everything Hulk related. I mean, there's always that sense of anger is higher than you get Hulks that are like, angry. Hey, yeah. Nothing subsidizes the anger. So for me, I hope that it's a Skrull, but at the same time, as much as I dislike She-Hulk episodes 3 through the rest of them, the first 3 I think were absolutely amazing. But I think that's the one piece that if they try to retcon that, how do you retcon She-Hulk? Because
easy. Yeah, no, he can do it. It's just through storytelling and stuff. They do that. When you have gamma radiation, I mean, they're in a nuclear base right now, because Skrulls are immune, and they understand that gamma gives Hulk his powers and stuff. So they're trying to figure out that piece of it and everything else. I mean, Hulk is secluded in his own little island, on his own little tropical oasis and stuff like that. He's very much could be a part of what's going on and trying to figure out this piece. And the fact that his Skrull like blood got into his sister, where every other human being, that level of radiation, she's not immune to that. She doesn't have any gene inside of her that makes her immune to radiation poisoning and stuff. But somehow that particular stuff that got into her, it made her into a She-Hulk, where she can change without getting angry. She could just shapeshift into this person and stuff. So I'm believing the fact that that's not the real Hulk.
She can shapeshift, David.
She can shapeshift.
She can shapeshift, which is Skrull DNA and not Hulk DNA.
Correct. Very much Hulk Skrull DNA. And she believes she's She-Hulk. She didn't name herself She-Hulk. That's just who she was. She just shapeshift into this person who has more human-like features and stuff than that of a Hulk and stuff. So all I'm saying is there's a lot that's been happening with that character in particular that I believe that it's not the same character. We had the wool pull over our eyes, and it would be the biggest bomb reveal that there is. And now that Marvel has the rights back to Hulk, they can make World War Hulk, and that one is being captive and being held somewhere through Skrull technology and stuff, and he breaks free somehow and just unleashes havoc because we get angry Hulk back. So
what I'm hearing you say though is if this theory is what they're going with, and you nailed it on the head. I mean, She-Hulk is not She-Hulk, and the Hulk son that we saw is not the traditional Hulk son that we should know. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the Hulk son
absolutely.
Is part alien. We don't know the Hulk son's mom. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Rewrite She-Hulk. Give us a real She-Hulk. Give us a real Hulk son that we know from the comics, and get rid of the Jersey Shore son's Hulk that we got in She-Hulk. Yeah, I'm all in. Get rid of She-Hulk. She's a Skrull. I'm in.
She's half Skrull. She's still half human and stuff. She got the DNA of Skrull.
No, they got to commit to that she's Skrull and she wasn't never. It's not Bruce Banner's real family member, and just rewrite that whole thing.
No, that's you're adding more to that and stuff. She's half Skrull because of the DNA and stuff, and so that's why she can shapeshift.
Again, this is just a fan theory, but we are running with it because why the hell not? It's exciting, and this is what we're here for: is to geek out over these kind of things and be like, listen, if I got to write it, this is how I would friggin' write it.
And for me, it explains more about the Hulk that we got now versus anything else and stuff that we've done. Like the fact that the Hulk and Bruce Banner came to a compromise. Just
had no character development, really.
Yeah. To live together and be this Professor Hulk kind of nerdy dude and stuff that jokes. And that's a Skrull who doesn't know crap about Banner and Hulk. So
all right. So on this run.
So then where's the real Hulk?
The real Hulk is being held captive somewhere,
which is, I think, a plausible theory, because if he's with the being held captive and the Skrulls are telling him your friends aren't coming, they left you, and this now is a reason for him to come back fucking pissed and really be the Hulk we've never seen but always heard about.
World War Hulk.
Yep. But with this conversation, who else do we think is a Skrull?
Okay.
Aside from the president,
I think Nick Fury is. I think we're gonna get the real Nick Fury halfway through the season.
So you think there's really? You don't think this Nick Fury we're seeing is the real?
No, because the way everyone's saying this isn't like you, and I think he's playing this Nick Fury we have is playing Talos, just like we saw in the opening scene with Ross, getting all the info, that trying to figure out how much does Talos know, and going from there. Because again, and the reason I'm saying this too is because blew up Nick Fury but didn't kill Nick Fury. The Skrulls are trying to kill Nick Fury. They had the perfect opportunity to do so. How do you make it seem like this is not the Nick Fury and throw people off of his scent? Oh, you're not doing so good. I think the real Nick Fury is going to make his appearance. Maybe the next episode, not episode 3, and really find out like this wasn't him.
That kind of puts a dent in the Maria Hill theory that we had earlier, but I also do see some plausibility in that, to where Nick Fury shows up and he just gets there from Saber and he's like, "What the hell is going on here? Like, fill me in." And then we're like, "You haven't been here the whole time? What?"
Yeah.
I respect your theory on that, but to me, you lose me as a fan and as a plot device for us to be following the introduction of a fake ass Nick Fury into this entire setup and stuff. Like, it's very,
lose the whole series almost.
But this Nick Fury is not, and no disrespect to what they did this character in this episode. He's really not trying to solve anything. He's just, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go do this because I know it's not really, there's no aggressiveness in this Nick Fury at all.
I mean, he didn't really follow, he didn't follow the backpacks or anything. He just followed But what was the point of him following the other Skrull then?
What's
to kill
that?
Maria. What was the point of him following the other Skrull then? To kill Maria Hill and make it look like the Skrulls did it?
Maybe he's trying to figure out who this is. Like, why are you doing this? Like, who are you? Because this is my plan. Who are you?
Okay.
Well, it was Gravik.
So I like poking holes. So here's a hole, and let me see if you can answer this. So we know that they can shapeshift into anyone they want, right? But they can't take on their personality unless they do that mind thing and stuff, like that device that they have and stuff. So if Nick Fury's still on Saber or doing vacation or whatever and stuff like that, when the Skrull Nick Fury got captured by what's her face from MI6, they were rehashing actual old memories and all that other stuff, like you destroyed, when she said you destroyed my home, which was the Spider-Man thing over in London with the whole freaking what's his face, the illusion dude. They were having a nice little exchange of memories of spies and everything else and stuff. The Skrull Nick Fury wouldn't have that knowledge
unless Nick Fury's in one of those cradles. If he's in one of those cradles, he has it.
Okay. So you're saying he could be captured, and this would be the Nick Fury.
Yeah, I will restrike some of it.
For me, that makes
he's captured.
That makes that character weaker to me as a whole.
But then if Maria Hill, and that could probably be like why Maria Hill died, because she's realizing that's not him and goes on a separate search finding the real Nick Fury, and that's why she got shot and isn't dead, because hey, I know that's not him and I'm done following this Nick Fury.
That's quite the double, triple, because the real Nick Fury goes to her and she said like it was you and so she would save the real Nick Fury and then he would show up to fight.
He would save him.
I hear what you're saying.
Bring him back, and then he drops his motherfucker line finally and takes out the Skrull acting like him. But I'm curious though, if they're removed from a cradle, does the Skrull then lose that identity?
Say that again. Like, wait.
So if a Skrull, if say I'm in a cradle, right? I got the laser beam going through. They can take my memories. If I get busted out of the cradle, do they lose my memories? Do they like?
No. But you can now confront them about it, and there's an like interruption into their procedure.
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, all they did is technically just kind of cloned your memories and stuff, and they just kind of downloaded it into their own brains and stuff. But
because remember,
they didn't take your soul.
Maria Hill saw that Ross.
Here, let me just touch your head, Lewis, and I'll just take your memories, and then. Okay.
So they took a carbon clone copy of their memories for that time, just like they did with Carol Danvers Mm-hmm. They're trying to take her memory so they can unlock Kree stuff, but they, she didn't have to take it back or anything when she broke free. Like, she still had it. They just had a copy of it and everything.
Because Maria Hill, she's the one that saw Ross get shot and killed and find out he's a Skrull.
Yeah.
So maybe wherever Ross is being held captive is where Samuel or Nick Fury is. Because imagine if they use Ross to lure Fury, and they use the Ross that's a Skrull to lure Fury, and snag both of them. Because now we have to figure out where is Ross, unless
Ross is captured.
Unless Ross was a Skrull the whole time.
What if he's
But if
dead?
Ross is held
I have a
captive
theory of
somewhere,
when Ross became. Here's my Ross theory. So after the events of Wakanda Forever, when he's getting arrested and taken away, Koya comes in, breaks him free, and then and she did her little good deed, and he's off on his own. He gets captured by the Skrull and replaced with a Skrull version because he's out on the loose. Makes it easier for him to be on the lam and everything else and stuff. So, yeah, I think Ross is captured, but I don't think he was a Skrull for that long since the second Wakanda movie.
Which means he's probably held captive somewhere. But
yes.
Another theory, what if, and this is a very small window, like it's so small I wouldn't be able to fit through, but like, what if when he says, "Where are my shoes?" the Skrull snagged his shoes on his way out? Because we don't know when that scene on Saber takes place. So what if that scene led right in the beginning of Secret Invasions and the Skrull jacked his shoes, it's a small window, on his way down to Earth to make it seem like Nick Fury's back, but Saber never actually got the message that says, "Hey, we need you to come back." Because technically they didn't. Ross was supposed to bring that tablet to give Fury a reason to come back, and he never really got that.
Okay.
So what if his shoes are missing because the Skrull swiped them?
He did. Yeah, the Skrull was supposed to hand over the information to Fury. The Skrull Ross was supposed to. So how he said that, but so like, what? At what point is Nick Fury brought down? Like, who tells him to come down?
Yeah,
because Dallas kills him, and then Maria Hill. Do they know what that tablet was and how to get in? I'm sure there's some type of code.
Well, yeah. Well, they figured it out now because they showed
that's right.
it.
They did show it. Yeah,
they showed it. That it was bombs, and they were like who the bomb technician was. But you know what I thought was flippin' brilliant? Hey, you need bombs built. Just go ahead and shove this bomb technician, this mastermind bomb guy in there, take his memories. Now you have the complete ability to build, to be this master bomb builder. Flippin' genius.
Because not only that, it spread like wildfire that Nick Fury apparently left Saber within, they don't really give you time or dates and stuff like that, but maybe a few days, few hours? You really don't know, but it would make sense for, hey, the Skrull that's mimicking Fury, like, hey, you're up because the Skrull that was mimicking Ross is dead. Like, you're up to bat to really sell this lie.
Because we need somebody inside of Sword, Shield, whatever.
But
MI6.
So inside of Sword is hard because there's Skrulls that are agents inside of, just like the agent that came and got Monica Rambeau and said, "Hey, Fury wants you upstairs," and she changes from the Sword agent to her real self. And
yeah.
So that's going to be hard. That's to be that level of double agents to not get back past a Skrull who's on the right side to be these rebel Skrulls to try to infiltrate. But it could be because that adds a whole other plot twist to a lot of.
But they did show us, David, that the Skrulls are not able to recognize other Skrulls. Mm-hmm. When the teenage boy goes to the gate and she says, "Show me yourself in your true skin."
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't trust that he is not human. She wants him to prove that he's a Skrull. So it means that they don't have the innate ability to recognize a Skrull for a Skrull either.
And not only that, or we find out that this Nick Fury is a Skrull the very last episode, and then like we're already fearing. We then don't believe anything, which and then taking it a step back outside the show, if I'm a creative storyteller, that gives me a chance to fix stories that have kind of been jacked up, fix stories that were never happening the right way, or going even farther, I get to now bring back contracts with new characters because those actors want too much money. Now, obviously, that's thinking way outside the storytelling, but if they cliffhang with, hey, the two Furies facing off, and that's the season finale, you're like mind blown because now you're like, fuck, when did this happen? So, I mean, is he a Skrull? I don't think so, but I got about a 51-49 feeling that the Nick Fury we're seeing right now is a Skrull.
All right, I'll one up that a little bit. I don't think this Nick Fury is a Skrull. I think this is the real one. But I think at some point we may lose the real Nick Fury, and no one else knows it. So someone does take on Nick Fury's persona, and like it continues the Skrull legacy, like in the Marvels, because we talked about that. Like the Marvels takes place after this, so that Marvel commercial that we see with Nick Fury. That's the Skrull Nick Fury, because Nick Fury died in this series. And maybe there's a battle behind the scenes. We don't see, person goes in. We think Nick Fury killed the person he was supposed to kill, or the bad guy, or the antagonist. But it really was the other way around. And that person shifted into Nick Fury. And basically the secret invasion is on. It's happening. Which informs Armor Wars and all these other shows, including the Marvels. And that Nick Fury is now, that Skrull Nick Fury is now the one that's in the MCU.
Oh gosh, that's such a plausible theory. I'm more afraid of that one than anything, because then us as fans will be yelling at the screen and
all the time,
every time we see him.
That's
and yet oh my gosh! And I love that theory, being the always opposite person I am. I hope that theory does not happen, because it would be making watching the Marvels so rough. Like, and you want to just sell them out, and there's no way to make it happen, and they're just believing it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing. I think the Marvel writers' jobs is to kind of put doubt in our head. So if they do pull this off, I think it won't be clean. I think we will have a split division of saying, is he, isn't he? And we will be looking hard at anything that Fury does in the future, saying, is that a Skrull thing, or is that the real Nick? Like, I think that's how they'll do it. It won't be a clean, like, we know he's the Skrull. We're going to get this weird kind of like, wait, is he or is he? Like,
you kind of touched on it, where like no one's going to know that Nick Fury died. But like, if it's a fight in a chamber, the door opens and Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson walks out, the door closes, and cut scene, where we don't really know if it's a Skrull or if it's him. But every time we see him, that's a damn good theory.
There's that. That's going to mess with everybody. So, because every decision he does, every encounter he does, like you're going to ask, like, oh, what's the motivation behind? Like, is it really like what you already asked that now with Nick? Like, what the hell is he doing? Like, what's his game plan? But now you're going to do it even more because he's the Skrull version of Nick. So, but that's just mine. That's my own piece with that.
That's more than a one up me. That's a solid one. And I think if you go that route, that leads me to believe that Talos dies.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think Talos dies this series.
Talos has no reason to live.
So,
oh man,
I mean, his daughter's evil. So I'm gonna just say that she doesn't turn to the, she's turning to the dark side. I mean, she's not Princess Leia. She's Kylo Ren. And that's just kind of how that plays out. Well, no, Kylo Ren tries to have a redemption arc, so that's probably
Kylo Ren. Yeah, never mind. I'm going to go down that route. But so I have a question,
Daddy Kylo.
Hey, but Kylo kills his father, Han. So we could have a repeat of that. Gia and Talos, and they end up battling, and Talos accepts he won't hurt
his daughter, and she's the villain.
And he lets her kill him.
And we saw that Talos will not hurt another Skrull because he says, "I had it. Like I told you no." He tells Nick Fury when Nick, shot the other Skrull. He just like, "I told you no.
I can do this without killing my peoples."
I mean, he did kill General Ross though, or Agent Ross.
Agent Ross is not.
No, Agent Ross jumped. Remember, and he didn't make the jump.
Really? Okay, I sworn he didn't.
He didn't throw him off the roof.
Oh,
he got hit by 2 cars, and when he jumped.
That's right. Okay, I watched it the day after. So I'm a little rusty on it, but I'm curious. Predictions for episode 2. What do you think's going to happen?
So one, I think we're gonna get more of the president, and I think we're gonna get Rhodey.
Yeah.
I think, Rhodey may be. We don't know about Rhodey. He might be a Skrull.
Terrence Howard comes back.
No, I don't think they're not gonna pull that.
Be like.
They did that early on with Ed Norton and Terrence, and it's over. They're not doing that no more. So
it would be like
outside of someone dying and they have to replace somebody like in real life. But
what was the movie? What was it? White Chicks? If they did bring Terrence Howard up, he's a line. We like you when you were the other you.
You're the other you. That's cool. Yeah. But I don't know. Episode 2, I think we're gonna get more of Gia's motivations as to why she's she betrayed her dad after he dropped that your mom died, and for the person, from the people who you're working with. And so I think we're gonna get more backstory. I think episode 2 might be a little bit more backstory into the villain side of things, which is a nice little thing for Marvel, because they don't typically go deep dive into the villains. They do a little bit more on the hero side. Like when we had the hand people from Captain America.
Right? Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that they didn't go deep into their motive. Like they really kind of don't go too deep in the motivations of Agatha. They didn't get really too deep. They gave us like a little bit of
they are going to give us more Agatha. But
they are.
Essentially, the hand group and they're terrorist groups, essentially.
Yeah. Yep.
They don't need much of a backstory because they want what they want and they're going to take it.
But it makes for a good thing. Like Thanos had a really good backstory. Killmonger, I think Killmonger had one of the good backstories to where you have people saying, "Damn, I understand his motivations."
But that's the thing is they do it with individuals, but they don't necessarily do it with groups.
Well, that's what I mean. So we may get one for Gia. I think Gia will get a backstory of why she changed into what she is, and why she's solidifying herself more and more with the terrorist groups, these rebels, the rebellions. And we may even sympathize with her. We're like, shit, yeah. My parents promised me a new home. 30 years come by and nothing to show for it. My dad's a coward. My, Nick Fury, my uncle betrayed me. Where's Carol Danvers? Like, she left? Like, all this, yeah. And then here I have this new guy, Gravik, who's kicking ass and taking names, and he's fighting for our people and stuff. Making it so like it's Fury and his herd, which are the villains, and they're actually doing the righteous work. Like
she found a new daddy.
Yeah. Oh God. This is her name work.
She's like, yeah, Gravik. Gravik is getting business done. We're going with him. It's like that, like teenage girls. Like David, you have daughters. I don't know if they ever did this to you, but like they want to rebel against their dads a little bit. So they pick the guy that they definitely shouldn't be going with. It's a teenage girl rite of passage. I'm going to go with Gravik as her rite of passage.
Yes.
Her bad choice.
Yeah, he's definitely that. And I think, the boy is, and I still believe Gravik is Sam's son. So I think episode 2 will drop more hints. I hope they drop more hints for that. For that theory.
You said Sam's son, and I wasn't thinking Nick Fury. I was thinking.
I was thinking Samuel L. Jackson.
I know. I was like, I don't have a son.
Sam's son. I meant Nick's son. Nick, not Samuel L. Jackson.
I mean, I hope we get more backstory on that because right now, I mean, there's a lot of Nick Fury's story that it's kind of left in the open. I mean, you could fill in the blanks, but a lot has happened since he's been gone. So it's like, where have you been? Like, what? Obviously, Saber's important, but like, if you're protecting Earth, Earth has had some mishaps that you haven't been around for. I mean, for instance, and I know this has been brought up in a lot of Marvel talks, is the Eternals, that fucking giant ass creature.
God, yes.
Like,
the island that got left behind.
That nobody talks about. Like, there's so much that has happened on Earth that, hey, Nick Fury, did they find a shortcut through you? Because there's still problems here. So, like, I feel like for him, there's a lot of story that needs to be told for what he's been doing, especially considering now that he's about to be the king on the chessboard that has to stop the Skrulls from taking over. It's like, all right, that we're glad you're doing that, but where have you been? If you're that guy, where have you been?
And there's a working theory that the new island is going to be worked in really heavy. In fact, they even said that it may be the source of antimanium, which means that's Wolverine's. That's his metal right there and stuff. So, a new alien object that's being birthed out of the Earth forms this new metal and stuff. So, and there's this, that's where they say maybe Armor Wars or something else, but we don't know. It's all rumor. But you're right. They don't mention it. They act like it doesn't exist. This is a big freaking thing. Earth almost cracked open and killed everyone instantly, and Eternals stopped that. Yeah, no talk about that. So
yeah, the Eternals. I just watched, and I feel so horrible for that. I literally just watched it for the first time like a month and a half ago, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
The Speedster character, she's my favorite of them all. She's what a speedster should be. So, but other than that,
sassy.
She is. And the Black Knight, not really. I'm not a big. I like Kit Harington, but I want a little bit more confident Black Knight. Kind of like I was really kind of hoping that I would get the Clark Kent Superman experience with Black Knight. Like he plays the dorky teacher, professor, teaching and everything else. And then when he's forced into a physical situation, the Black Knight, the Superman part comes out of him.
If he could have been as hot as Clark Kent, that would have been great too.
Well, they could replace him. I mean, the Superman, the dude who plays Superman, Harry Conville, he's out at DC, so we can replace.
No, I want the guy that played Clark Kent in Smallville on the CW.
Oh yeah, you like those CW, WB weirdo TV shows. So wait, yeah,
didn't he die?
I don't know.
The actor.
Didn't he fall off a horse?
Oh, that's Christopher Reeves, the old movies, the original OG Spider.
No. Oh my God. Not Christopher Reeves.
I thought it was his name.
Oh,
I've only watched like 2 episodes of Smallville, and I was like, nobody can tell you Superman? Are you serious? And then I tapped out.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I'm with you, man, on that. Like
David taps out of all the CW WB shows.
They're just not that.
They're so
great writing.
I was just gonna say badly written. The only 2 characters in Smallville that I really thought were tight.
Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor killed it absolutely. And
Michael Rosenbaum is the best Lex Luthor. He's my favorite Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
All right, so Tom Welling is the actor.
Yeah, Tom Welling.
I mean, he's way better than the Facebook guy is Lex Luthor. That drove me nuts. I was like, are you serious?
Are you guys ready to end the show? Because we're heading down a whole other avenue right now.
Our predictions. All right, so I did my predictions on. So what's your guys' predictions for episode 2?
I hope we have more revelations of who is a Skrull and who's not. That's about all I've got right now. Is I think that there are going to be more agents that are working with Fury or part of the government that we're going to realize have been infiltrated for a while. That's my only prediction I have. Because honestly, like, I didn't even have any real fan theories this time. I was just like, the hell. What about you?
I don't have any predictions because I really don't know what we're going to get ourselves into. But I do have a small wish list. That we get the Nick Fury that we know and love. Like, all right, Hill died. Now he's coming for vengeance. But 2, we get a little bit more backstory on Saber. Because obviously the president said it. He doesn't leave there unless we really need him to. So why is he not leaving there? Like, let's get to know that.
Because the president can't be trusted.
Well, I don't trust the president either.
He is on a need-to-know basis.
But there's a reason why Nick Fury has been up there. Why? But at the same time, if I'm hoping, and then also I hope that we find out more about either him and his possible son, or it's him from another timeline. I mean, we could even jump down that rabbit hole, which is dangerous because I feel like we're finally coming out of the whole, there's 500 of us all over the place.
Yeah, that'd be lazy writing if they introduce that into this.
Yeah, that's some. Hopefully they don't do that, but I really hope not. But for me, I just want more backstory on Nick Fury so we understand the intensity of this series.
Yeah. So can I just say one last thing? This is my favorite clip that was on that. I don't have it, but a favorite part of the show, which was I think it was a nod to Pulp Fiction, was when he was in the room with the antique dealer bomb maker dude, and he's like, you get to lie to me once. And it was remnants of what does Marcellus Wallace look like? Like, did I break your concentration? Like, that was Sam Jackson, Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino that was in that room. And I was like, yes, that's the bad. I was hoping he would say mother, you know what, in that scene, but it didn't happen. But it was a really good scene, and I thought that was a nice little ode to Pulp Fiction of Jules, his character in that
Samuel L. Jackson's acting career. Yeah, I like that.
Yep.
A little bit of a different kind of Easter egg.
Do you think we'll get Valentina in this series?
Yes.
Yeah. I think she is the new kind of Stanley-ish, building her little secret, empire in the extra scenes and credits.
Her little Dark Avengers.
These phases. Yeah. So we're going to get her. Yes.
I can't stand her.
I can't stand her just because there's so little about her. But I hope they don't wait too long to really introduce her.
Yeah,
I can't stand her because I know she's manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
She recruits Gaia.
That could be
very dang likely.
Or Nick Fury's son. He doesn't die. If that is his son.
At some point, she's going to get Gaia or Gravik, and she's going to be... I'm going to go with Gaia.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go with Gaia, and it's going to be a Talos dies and Gravik dies. And now she's like, where the hell do I go? And Valentina steps into that role and is like, come on over here. We've got a place for you.
Because who has she recruited so far? Black Widow's sister.
Yeah. Elon. Yeah.
John Walker.
Black Widow's sister. Yep. A U.S. agent.
U.S. agent.
Who else does she meet with? I'm trying to think what was. There was a third one. It wasn't Kate Bishop.
She's in Black Panther, but I don't think there's anything that she did there.
Was there someone in Loki that she?
I want to say I saw her in Loki, but I don't remember though.
I don't think there's anybody in Loki she would grab though. We'll have to get back to that.
Yeah, we'll do some research on that, and we'll report back to the Marvel
next
tribe.
week.
Yep.
All right. Well, that has been our Marvel Tribe episode 1 recap for Secret Invasion. Catch us on our next episode where we go over episode 2. Make sure you check out our Walt's Apartment live show on Wednesday night. Peace out.
Peace out.
Marvel Tribe.
Marvel Tribe.